All right, people, we are back. Take a look at my desktop. It's a mess, but I promise you that's not how I work. We're gonna go to physics editor folder. Most of you that download the physics editor, that shit is gonna look like this. EXEs folder has a bunch of EXEs that someone else made, but we're going into this folder, NASCAR 2003 Physics, and here the first thing I must point out is that we have two types of files. We have mem.csv files, mem.csv, that one, that one, that one, and we have exe CSV type of files right there, and right there. The mem files, such as the one that we'll be looking at, engine mem, you do not use them to edit physics. You only use them to look at how everything is structured and what it looks like. These files will not help you actually make the change. So with that said, we're gonna take a look. I highly, super highly discourage using Notepad because that's for grandpas. Notepad++ is good, but it's really not that good for this specific task that we are doing. What I recommend you use is OpenOffice, Calc, whatever. It's a part of the free, let me repeat that, free software, which is kind of like Microsoft Office, but it's free. So you can get that. And you open it like this. The secret behind it, you have to separate the values by comma. Boom, boom. If you don't do that, you see the googly moogly notepad style font that we're dealing with and everything is confusing as hell. Boom, separate by comma. And now we're within logic and reason. Open up that motherfucker. Take a look at the engine profile. Those of you that edit physics, you already know. Those of you that never seen it or never edited before, this is what we're dealing with. This is only to look at. Now, what we can see from looking at it, we have 30 fields that we can mess around with, and 29 of them have definitions, so that's very good. What else? I must color out real quick. The cup engines, as you can see right here, the series, field number 1. What kind of series are the engines are used in? Cup in blue, Bush series or Xfinity series are in orange, CTS trucks are in yellow, and PTA is purple. These are the official colors that I use. If you don't like them, you could appeal to the Supreme Court, and go from there. One other thing I must point out, that Cup engines, Cup chassis 2, 3, 4, and 5 use this engine, while the restricted super speedway, the one that you use on Daytona, chassis number 1, uses this engine number 4. And same thing goes for the GNS physics here. Boom and boom. Basically these two physics use two engines number 7 and engine number 9 for the restricted play chassis number 1. Right here we can see chassis number 1. Now, let me repeat that. Now, take a look at CTS physics and PTA physics, and if you're not brain dead, you could clearly see that CTS engine number 12 and PTA engine number 15 are using the same engine for all 5 chassis. See here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, we'll be using the CTS physics and dealing with the CTS physics type of deal. Engine number 12 is the most used one. Boom. Now, this is the whole CTS engine profile. I will move it like this. And I'll also take the definitions and move them like that. And here we have our CTS engine profile, just for that one specific engine. Once again, these files do not matter. They will not edit physics for you, so you can slice and dice them and move them however you want. None of that shit is going to matter. I am only showing you stuff. Right here where it says AI reverse, AI neutral, AI first gear, second, none of that garbage is proven. None of the garbage is proven to where it actually changes AI anything, because AI always runs the fast setup, and whatever gears you got in the fast setup, that's the gears that AI will be using. So really not sure on this. Now, our engine for people. Here is the profile, and here is only about, 20 lines that we are dealing with. These are explanational lines. Number of gears, cooling, maximum horsepower, red line. This is like your performance. Stroke, cylinder displacement size 358, as you can see. Number of cylinders, 8 cylinders. Intake valves and the size of the intake valve. Boom, that's your engine dimensions. That's your physical, mechanical engine dimensions. That's how long, how big, how wide, and how much air you can fit in your engine. There's no way of going around it. If you say that you're making an engine that is Chevy 350, right here, 350, and you type in fucking 450 instead, you're not making a 350 engine anymore. Like, it's as simple as that. So I'm gonna stop dissing right here, go back to our 358 just in case. The most important values for today's video is this profile: RPM 1, torque 1, RPM 2, torque 2, RPM 3, and torque 3. And as you can see, we have the RPM values right here, and we have our BMEP values. I will put them in red right here. These are our power values. The first one we have not calculated in our first video, but the other ones we did. So RPM 2 is the RPM where you make your maximum torque. And in the previous video, you could see that our crate engine is making their power is 3800 RPM, while the maximum horsepower it was making in 5400 RPM. So these are going to be our new numbers. And then torque 3 right here. It used to be 160 for the CTS. We have calculated our GM 602 was making 140 and a half, but I'm gonna square it out because there's no halves in here in the original profile. I'm just gonna round it up to 140. And maximum torque in BMEP, which we had, was 170. Now you could compare these two, and you could see how not only the truck NASCAR engine is superior on the RPM, which is almost double, close to size 358 versus 350, but that's not important. What you can see is bigger power, bigger values, but the most important is the RPM at which you are making that power. That's what makes your horsepower. I'm gonna stop right there, but you could see where we hunted down and we found our RPM 2, RPM 3, torque 2, and torque 3, the values that we calculated in our first video. And here we are. Boom, 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 boom. There they are. These are the values that were calculated from the other video, video number 1. And here you could see them in the mem file. This was just a demonstration. None of this is going to change anything. So I'm going to minimize that, and we're going to take one look at original EXE. Once again, a free open office application, not to you. Okay, I'm gonna open it in Notepad and I'm gonna open it in open office, and you're gonna compare grandpa's technologies there and the way grandpa's edit this garbage. Garbage. I must correct myself. You see, confusing as hell. And then if you open it with free open office, separated by comma, boom, everything is neat and organized. We could see that in this file, what we're dealing with is every single physics line that is available to change for the physics editor, but they're all structured vertically, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. You see a huge ass line. I'll tell you how many values we got. And it looks like about 2,700 different lines that we could mess with. 3 sections, as you could see. A wheel section is the wheel and tire section of your physics. And if we keep scrolling down, it's gonna stop somewhere. Wheel. And the one that's called engine, that's the one that we're dealing with. I will show you very briefly and quickly how to read these files, and I mean how to read these lines. Here we are, RPM 1, you remember those. Field 03, just like in the mem file. And here's the explanation. It's for the cup physics, chassis 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that's the engine that is used for qualifying. Now, number 2, 0 RPM, it's for cup, and it's chassis 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the race engine. That's the engine that you'll be using for cup physics. However, we are messing with CTS physics, engine number 12. And here we must find it and pinpoint the lines that we're working with on our CTS engine only. And CTS is the truck physics, for those that you do not know. For qualifying, I'm not gonna mess with that engine. Right there, CTS physics, field number 3, engine number 12, and that's the value. What we need is to highlight it just for the future. That's the value that we'll be editing. I'm just showing you how to read these. We're looking for engine number 12. That's our engine. Here it is. CTS physics, chassis 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For the race engine, the value is torque 1, which we haven't gotten over, and we'll tune it in part 3 video, I promise. Now, the values that we have calculated last time, in last video, let's go over them real quickly. RPM2, that's for the engine number 12. As you can see, it used to be 5700. Some of you might ask, why is there two numbers? These numbers, the secondary numbers, they do not matter. So if I see you edit those, you're stupid. These are only for you to know what the original value was. You could literally just copy paste this first 3 lines, and that's how the physics editor works. Everything after these 3 fields is just an explanation of what this is, what kind of section it is, what engine it is, what we're dealing with here. It's just an explanation. The only values that are important is this memory location, the description of it, and the value itself. Okay, so keep on going forward with this crazy boring physics video. It just gives you a real idea of how I work and what my mind state is and how I structure things versus, some other guys that, use notepad like this and they spend a bazillion times looking for that one specific line that where you need to change this. It's stupid as hell, bro. Anyway, there you go. We're looking for engine number 12 right here. Highlight that mid-pucker. Boom. And these are the values that we found in our last video. RPM 2, torque 2, RPM 3, and torque 3, which is in BMEP and not foot-pounds of torque. I keep repeating that. That's the last one right here. In the next video, I will show you how to make a working file to actually edit your physics, where you would just delete the rest of the lines that you're not using, you're not dealing with, and just keep the lines that you're working with. It makes it look super neat, super clean. I'm just gonna open one that I have already made so you could take a look at what it looks like, and then in the other video I will show you how to make your own like that. We're gonna open it with free OpenOffice Calc, separate by comma, and here is my 602 engine profile that has already been structured. As you can see, I only have here the values that I'm working with, none of the extra garbage. So it's very easy and clean. You could see, you could show it to another physics editor and he could take a look at this and he could be like, okay, I see what you've done, I see what you changed, instead of browsing through this horrendous freaking, how are you gonna know what was changed in this guy's file? You will never know. We have software that even if you insert a fucking comma right here, we're gonna know that you put a comma over there. That's how fucking deep we is in this game. However, you can take a look, pause, and see how a proper engine profile structured looks like. See, here we're dealing with 11 and 12, engine number 11, engine number 12. That's the one for qualifying and race, because I don't want you to race one engine and then qualify with the stock NASCAR one. That's obviously stupid. So take a look. I have not changed the red line and peak power, but the new values of 3800 and 170 and all that are calculated already. I'll show you how I came up with the 90, and that might not be correct number. We're gonna test and look and load it and go into the telemetry physics and all that garbage, and see how that goes. But until now, for those of you that watched, it was a race ready boring video of how I work on engines and how to slap your own engines. But before you can slap your own engines, you gotta learn how to be clean, how to think, how to do things proper. Like, I'm just gonna stop right there, kill the shit. See you guys later in the next one. Hope this one was not too long. Bye.